What is up, YouTube? I'm gonna show you in this video how I built a SaaS in 3 days for a popular CRM. So I'm basically a barnacle on a whale's back, and how I actually got paying users all within 3 days. In fact, it was probably less than 3 days because I was basically lazier than a sack of potatoes. And most of those days I didn't even start working till like 4 or 5 p.m. So in this video, I'm gonna show you exactly how I knew it was actually a good enough idea to go after, what tools I used to build it in 3 days, and then how I plan on scaling it. So I know it's generic advice to scratch your own itch when you're doing a startup idea, but it really works because I was running a marketing agency in the past, and I would always had this problem where my clients would never like actually call their leads. Like they would just basically get leads and then text them a couple of times and leave it be. And what you have to do is you have to actually call the leads in order to get sales, right? It sounds obvious, but it's kind of not obvious when you're starting out. And so it's really hard to make sure that your clients are actually calling their leads. And there's also a problem where whenever you call someone, you have to take notes about it, because if they don't close immediately, you're gonna have to follow up with them in like a week, and then you're not gonna remember what you said on the call. And hopefully you recorded it, and then even if you did, you have to go back and listen to the call, and it's just a giant pain in the ass. So I was like, all right, there's a bunch of things you could do here where you provide a call summary, and then in addition to that, you can provide tracking to actually like help people make sure that all of their clients are calling their leads. So what I decided to do was focus on the call recordings. The call recordings are essentially, or the call summaries are like the Trojan horse, right? You get your foot in the door, you show them that you can provide value, and then later on down the line, you show them this extra feature that you just built, and they want it, right? At least that's the idea. So let's get into what tools I use to actually build this, and let's just open up my automation platform. And by the way, thank you for the icon, guys. Arc, I just want to say, if you are, oh yeah, don't mind this. If you are interested in trying out my browser, I'm gonna leave a link down here where you can try it out, and yeah, then we can actually find out what these icons look like. But appreciate you guys using that one so far. And basically the tools I used, right? Anyways, so NAN is like Zapier, it's like Make, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper. And I actually have a video, I'll link it at the end, and it talks about how you can get NAN for a huge fraction, a tiny fraction of the price of Zapier or even Make. I mean, Make's pretty cheap on its own, but NAN is even cheaper than that, and it's a lot more powerful. So what you're looking at here, this is the entire workflow for all of my business logic in the back end. Now, the reason this is so fast is because if I ever want to add like an HTTP request, literally, I just click that, and then I can type in whatever my URL is, authorization code, whatever I need, and it's literally right there. It's done. I'm going to delete that, but I'll just kind of, I mean, you probably don't care too much about like how this actually works, but essentially there's a bunch of installation logic to kind of capture the user and then get everything put away and organized. And then this is all the logic for the call recording. It's extremely simple. This is literally the call summary. Now, the other thing you're probably seeing is all these different green icons around here, and this is the Supabase logo. If you knew that, take a shot. But basically with Supabase, it's basically like a database that's put together for you. There's a lot of the problems that come with setting up your own database already solved by Supabase. So I'm using their authentication, their emails, their login, everything like that. And all you have to do is, if you actually want to like just write to the database, you literally just fill out fields. It's like a drag and drop game. It's extremely easy. And that's all you have to do to do your background logic. So all of this right here, I mean, I got tripped up because the auth is kind of hard, like matching emails and users and all this stuff. But all in all, I mean, this whole thing probably took me 8 hours or something like that. So 8 hours, you could do that. You could literally do this whole thing in 1 day, and then it's down to the front end. And I will show you the front end. That too is extremely easy. So here's the front end, and essentially what this front end is like very straightforward. Okay, we don't really need much magic going on here. And this is a builder called AppSmith. And because I said this is a plugin for another app, like it's not like you're building a video editor or, you know, some next level AI integration. You're literally just like have to have a front end so that the users can interact with their account in the back end. And that's what this does. So after they install the app, they'll land on this page. It'll pull their name from their user information, which is sick. And then it's gonna say, basically it's just giving them instructions on how to get call summaries. And then I have a little video here that was very professionally done, unlike this one. And then down here, they're entering in their own API key. So this is kind of how I validated it. I was like, all right, I don't wanna mess with setting up billing and creating like all this logic that's gonna manage like a wallet balance. I'd rather just see if people actually want this feature and if they're actually interested in like getting call summaries. So they can enter in an API key and they're not paying me anything, they're getting the lowest rate, right? And so basically I advertise that. I have this front page, and this is like in the CRM, so you can actually just check out the integration and see like what it looks like before you install it. So there's kind of like a little demo here where it says show call summaries delivered instantly, and then it shows that summary after it's been generated. So to recap that, I mean, basically the tools that you're gonna want are NAN. NAN is a super strong workflow automation tool. One thing is, at some point when I was using OpenAI to get the call summary or the call transcript, you have to send the transcript as a file, or the call recording as a file. You can't send a link to where it's actually located. And I mean, I guess that's easier if you're dealing with local files, but I'm not. So this is kind of one of the workarounds, and you would just not be able to do this in Make. You would be kind of shit out of luck. So that's why NAN is super strong. The other thing, AppSmith, that's the app we were just looking at. I mean, this is just a beast. It's extremely easy to build with it because look at this. You literally just drag stuff around. I mean, I can put it there. No need to mess with like padding and margin and all this baloney. But there's also no alignment, so you can't like center things. It's really fucking weird. But yeah, AppSmith is still extremely strong. If you just need to build like a quick dashboard and just like get things done, AppSmith is amazing for that. You can also add like custom JS. So whenever the page loads or whatever, you can handle things like authentication using your own system. And then the last part was Supabase. All right, I'm gonna come in here. God damn it, I already doxed myself. God damn it, dang it. Okay, all right, here we go. So this is not doxy. So basically what we have is companies, a table for the companies, a table for each location that the company owns, and then the messages, because each message that comes in is a phone call, and then we transcribe it and do all that stuff. But here's just my logs table that I created just so I could see what was actually going on. And yeah, I mean, Supabase, I'm not going to go into too much depth. It's a database, you know. It has some extra neat features, but it does what you need, and I'm not paying anything for this. In fact, I want to say that this entire stack cost me $6 a month. That's the NAN, and of course I use NAN for tons of other things. And this puppy is not using any compute at all. All right, so then let's get into how I'm actually going to scale this app. So the first thing that I'm doing is I'm rebuilding it in code. I know I was just preaching NAN for the entire time. And yeah, I love NAN. I think it's a really good platform. But the thing is, once you start to build out this much logic, especially in one workflow, I should have probably made multiple workflows, you're going to end up with problems when it comes to testing. And especially since this is a production server now. This is what's running the code for everyone using it. And so if I make a change and I accidentally hit save, it's going to be broken, you know, and I'm going to have to do all this testing to fix it. So it does become a problem when you're actually iterating and building a product. I'll talk about this later, but I'm using this platform called trigger.dev that actually lets you, wait, I'll just show you. It actually lets you, it's like Zapier, but it's for code. And so it's a lot more kind of strong and much easier to use than, I mean, it's easier to use when it comes to like building out a big app, if you know what I'm saying. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm using actually WeWeb for the front end. And WeWeb, everyone's heard of Bubble, probably Flutterflow. WeWeb is low-key goated. So they have some really good, I recommend reading their website. They have some really good copy on there about, like, if you look up WeWeb versus competitors, they're going to tell you, yeah, if you need this, go use Bubble. If you need this, use Webflow. And they tell you, like, to use a bunch of different softwares. And they also tell you that they don't do like workflows, they don't do like database. They tell you that they're front end only. And it's such a breath of fresh air to see that, because there's so many platforms like Bubble and Zapier, and I mean there's a million different companies, and they all think, okay, we're gonna build everything for our users and then they're gonna be locked in. And that's the thing with WeWeb is I'm gonna use this to build the entire product, but if at any point I end up needing to get out, I'll easily be able to get out. I mean, my backend's in Supabase, my workflows are in Trigger, and I can just like move my front end and just rebuild it in code or however's easiest. But WeWeb is extremely strong. I mean, if you look at this this sidebar here, literally everything has a little plug icon, which means you can put a formula in it, or you can just write plain JavaScript and like return whatever you want. It's extremely good. It integrates with Supabase Auth. It integrates with the Supabase database. And this is literally the charts.js library that they're using right here. So you can literally edit like the source code. Well, not the source code, but you can make very kind of minute changes and update this as much as you want. So WeWeb is extremely strong, and I'm going to be rebuilding it because now I know that I can get users doing this, and now I know I can actually charge money. And so basically all it comes down to is rebuilding it so that I can actually do that. And I need a better landing page for running paid traffic too, and I'll talk about this in future videos. But the last thing to say about this is nailing the freaking onboarding, because when it comes to like a SaaS, dude, you have to get people to build a habit around your product and actually like engage with it. And if it doesn't click in the first like 2 minutes of trying to use your app, they're gone forever. I mean, that's how I am with literally every software. That's how every user is. And so it all comes down to like, when that user sees your landing page, when they first log into the app, do they understand? Do they get a good feeling? And like, they're not lost. They like it, right? All right. We're trying to make them feel good. So nailing the frick out of onboarding. I'm going to talk about how I'm nailing the frick out of onboarding, how I'm nailing the frick out of marketing. And yeah, we're going to absolutely crush it. So to summarize, get my browser. I want to say, dude, let's check out what icons these are. I'm so curious, you know. I've just got to know. So we only have 5 more to go before school book.